Hello and welcome to three sessions of, I'm going to say this, Coeur de l'Épée. So my background in college is in Arabic, not at all the same pronunciation as French. So all of that is very, very bad for me. But we will press on and we will do this. This is essentially the Three Musketeers, Count of Monte Cristo, Brotherhood of the Wolf, uh, reframing stretch goal setting for Hearts of Wulin. And Alan Rees has run this before and gave us playtesting feedback, and we've worked on that. We've made some changes, and I've worked with Alan to make some adjustments on that. And I think it's in pretty good shape. It's much more of a sort of setting elements put there, not too much changed in the way of system and things like that. But my name is Lowell, and my pronouns are he, him, and this game is taking place on the Gauntlet Calendar. The Gauntlet is an online gaming community / club. We have 100 or so sessions each month. People are welcome to sign up for that. It's supported by a Patreon. You can find out more about that at gauntlet-rpg.com if you want to check that out and find out what the deal is with this. If you like AP videos, we've got a ton on our own channel, and I've got a ton on this channel, and we've got a lot of different games. And we've got some great players tonight, so this is going to be quite excellent. So let's talk about what this game is and the safety tools, and then we'll talk about what people want to run. So this is swashbuckling France that's not really France. We've got a King Louis the Golden, who is ensconced at Versailles. We've got the Queen who's at Paris because the King's mistress is at Versailles, and there are musketeers and Catholics versus the Protestants and all of those kinds of things going on. And we'll figure out where we want to focus in. You can make up your own factions. You can make up your own characters. We'll build that all up when we do entanglements. This is influenced certainly by Dumas, but by other things. This doesn't necessarily assume any mythological elements. For the most part, you'll be playing about social maneuvering, blackmail, dueling, scheming, all of those things. If you want to add something supernatural, a la Brotherhood of the Wolf or other things, you are more than welcome to. We'll play with that. Our setting is the Western equivalent of Wuxia, China, but is no more historically accurate than those things. It is much more akin to the BBC Musketeers series, and even to the 1970s Three Musketeers movies that I grew up on, that were shown on TV all the time. And this has many media incarnations. It includes elements of class struggle, proto-revolutionary sentiment, because that's a rich source of conflict. Leave your historical knowledge at the door. Step inside this hall of mirrors. We are going to try and treat this material respectfully. We can do voices, but let's not do accents, if possible, because if I go into a French accent, it will just be Pepe Le Pew, and it will be terrible, and I will be shocked and embarrassed. So, our subject matter: players can be dealing with blackmail, they can be dealing with romance, they can be dealing with passions, that they can be dealing with betrayals. Of course, violence is on the table, but also the tensions of a country that is radically split by class differences, where there is strong awareness in the lower class of the injustice, and it will get worse before it gets better. But that's often very much in the background here. It is not quite Les Mis. We're not there yet. So with that in mind, we have a set of layered safety tools we're using. I know all of my crew here are familiar with that. We're using lines and veils, which will establish things that are off the table, things that we fade to black, or even things that we want to ask first before we bring that on to the table. That's complemented then by the X card, which we can use if we hit something that it starts to go towards one of those lines, or something that you suddenly occurs to you you don't care for, something that's problematic, objectionable, anything like that, you can X card verbally or through a gesture, and we'll move around that. And of course, open door is certainly one of the policies that we have on the table because we're all super stressed. I hope you're watching this from a good future. That's my hope. When you don't have as much stress, that's my prayer right now. So just keep that in mind. But those are tools that we have here to play with. I plan on going through the lines and veils after the character creation process, but you might glance at those to make sure when you're doing your character creation that you're not striking on anything that would be along those lines. So we have 6 playbooks. Generally, players will each take a different playbook. But if 2 people take the same playbooks, they can take different roles. You just have to kind of talk about how you want to split up the moves, possibly. Each playbook has 3 roles. They come with a role move, and then you'll get to choose 2 more from the set of moves. So, Daniel, have you thought about? Have you narrowed it down at all? And you can feel free to go. I haven't. No, I haven't.
So I just started looking a little bit ago. I would be interested in maybe doing a spy specialist.
Ooh,
If no one else has their eyes on specialist.
Okay, so write down specialist. Chris, what about you?
I was looking at either the loyal or the outsider. I've kind of got ideas for both,
Okay.
so I could do either of those 2.
Okay. Tyler?
I love these playbooks. These are phenomenal. So I have several that I think are cool. I'm looking a little at the unorthodox, but I also like the Bravo or the Outsider.
Outsider. Patrick?
I like the Thief Bravo, and I like the Hidden Unorthodox.
Bravo, unorthodox. Well, let's do this. Daniel, you take the specialist. Chris, are you good taking the loyal?
Sure.
And then Patrick, do you want the Bravo or unorthodox?
Just looking at their roll moves again. I like that Thief. I just think that's fun.
Okay. So Tyler, outsider or unorthodox?
I think I'll take the unorthodox.
Okay. So the things you need to pick is on the CC1 Basics tab there. Essentially, your look, what you're fighting with, though you can always fight with anything. What your style element is. You're going to set your stats and pick your playbook and your moves. Once everyone's kind of gotten that, we'll have introductions before we move to entanglements. And when we kind of get to that place, I'll talk about what entanglements look like. So I'm going to let you get to work. There is a universal move every playbook can take if they want to take it instead of one of their playbook moves, and that is the Nemesis. The move is actually listed on the CC1 tab just below the playbook description in cell A12.
oh my god, I need the Nemesis move. I was just reading through it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a pet move. It's such a temptation. I always love pet moves. Oh, but I don't think I'm gonna take it. They're always so complex. But God, I love pets.
Which move is this?
It's the golden lion on mine, but it would let me have a loyal companion pet, a horse, a
Aw.
dog, and I love pet things. But then I'd have to attribute it. What does that mean? Describe its attributes, Lowell. Is that narrative
Like
or is it a thing?
it's purely a narrative, like flying, or intelligent, those kinds of things.
Oh, okay. And its primary mechanical boost is it'll protect me from damage, but then it'll have narrative-y things it can do.
Yeah.
I mean, you should totally take a pet.
Then I should totally take that. God, I love pets.
Maybe about 5 more minutes, and then we'll kind of start going through. And whatever you don't have, you can fill in as we go. one more minute. And I'm going to come around to ask names and get introductions. That was just throw Patrick.
Lowell, in stats array 3, is one of those supposed to be a negative one? Maybe not. It's just awfully good. You're muted, my love.
It's no negatives, but it's no +2s. I mean, you don't have anything that's great in.
Got it. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, the total is +3 when you total everything up.
I got you. Cool. Thank you.
-1 in Earth. All right. We're going to start with introductions. One of the assumptions is that you all know each other. That's going to be important when we get to the entanglements. So let's start. I'm going to start in the middle, unlike I would usually do. And I want to start with Renaud Lafleur. Tyler, tell us about this character.
Renaud, or Ren to his friends, Lafleur, the flower. He's handsome. He's in his late 20s, got long curly black hair. He has violet eyes. He's got an athletic build, but it's not like he's a bodybuilder. He's more of a, it would be closer to like an acrobat sort of body. He wears expensive clothes, but they're kind of threadbare, maybe, several seasons ago's best sort of thing. And he is the unorthodox. My stats are Earth -1, Fire +2, Steel +1, Water +1, Wood at 0. And my fighting style is Dumb Luck. And my element is Fire. And I have as my start move, roll move, is accidental. You say you don't know martial arts and you believe it, but somehow you tumble through conflicts and flummox opponents. You have a style element, but no style or weapons beyond that. So I gave myself a style. I should erase that, I suppose. Beyond what you mistakenly picked up. It could be luck, a curse, or forgotten. I don't even know what that word is. Telemelatings?
Don't know what that is. I'll have to check.
The first time you fight a named opponent, you gain +1 forward. However, you must always show your opponent's mercy.
And I know. I did it to cut and paste.
But I think that move is what I kind of hung my hat on with the idea of this character. He is by far and away the sort of person who, it's the accidental elbow back into someone's nose that protects him from getting beamed in the back of the head. It's he gets punched, he falls backwards, hits a shelf, and a pot lands on the other guy's head. Something seems to take care of him. Now, along with that is his shadow boxing. There is actually someone taking care of him. A secret group or order aids me. You may not be aware of their assistance. I don't think I am. Once per session, you can flash back to some preparation, interference, or negotiation they've done on your behalf. Describe it and roll. On a hit, they succeed. On a 7 to 9, they do so with attention or reduced effect. On a miss, their interference causes me more trouble than help. And then I have Golden Lion. You have a loyal pet or horse that's been trained and responds to your commands. Describe its attributes. Once per session, they may intercept a physical threat. They take the injury and are out of action until the next session. And I have Petrie, who is a raven who can fly. He's clever and he talks. And that's Renaud.
So tell me, have you come to Paris or Versailles to make your fortune, or are you from a family? How are you imagining this?
The way I'm imagining him, and the way I'm kind of seeing this, is that he's traveled a bit around France, but all roads eventually lead back to Paris.
Right.
And he loves being in Paris. He loves the big city. He loves the excitement of it. And he's been traveling kind of as long as he could remember, which is an oddness for him, is a point to him. He really doesn't remember much of anything that happened past 5 or 6 years. And that is something that has basically traveled with him all of his life, as in anything past 5 or 6 years at any point in his life just sort of has flown out of his head. He doesn't really think about it. Those memories sort of just flutter away from him.
You're muted.
Yep. Oops. It's not like it's a full amnesia so much as just it isn't able to connect with him anymore. The people then and that sort of thing just drift away from him.
So now you don't have to give away who you're imagining as this organization, but on screen, like in the background, in the shadows or whatever, what is it we see?
I'm thinking that we have this group that is watching him. They'll refer to him as either the Little Lord or the Little Master. And I see them as maybe even being a little bumbly, but they're generally well dressed in what would be probably like livery that they've made an effort to kind of disguise who it's livery for. And they try to do the things to keep him out of too horrible a trouble.
Does he know that he can't fight? Is that how he would avoid a fight? Or does he think he can fight and then and he really does, it doesn't look like he does? How do you imagine that?
I don't think he believes that he can fight well. That he understands that he's often in fights and that he hasn't gotten killed. So there's probably a little bit of this bravado of, of course I can take care of myself sort of thing. But he is fairly brave. So, and he runs his mouth. So he will get into fights. But it's just that, it just seems to work out.
Excellent. So he often relies on the kindness of strangers and friends to save him from these things.
Exactly.
Excellent. We will come back to you to talk about entanglements. You'll pick one romantic and one general. There are examples on the CC3 entanglements page. The ones that are in red are ones from the setting playbook, but you can come up with anything that you want. We'll want to make sure that at least one of your entanglements includes another PC. So let's move across and let us come to Daniel. Tell us about your character, Nicholas.
Sure. So Nicholas is a spy, and I am just imagining that he is embedded in some factional organization that we will come up with at some point in the near future. So I don't know a whole lot about that right now.
Sure.
But he is extremely unassuming. He always has a very relaxed smile, and he's very forgettable in that he is like literally sometimes hard to remember. I am taking a move called Listen More Than You Speak, which is you excel at reading situations. You know exactly when to intervene. You may choose to act in combat or an action scene. You may choose when you act in a combat or action scene, first, second, etc. And I think I'm going to take that extremely literally. And I think Nicholas is going to be a mute.
Ooh.
That also plays well with my current level of anxiety, so I have to talk less, hopefully. So let's see. My spy basic move is just you excel at spotting important details, never know how power, and you know how power flows. When you attempt to determine someone's true motivation, you can roll. On a hit, you can ask some questions. They may notice your attention. On a miss, you badly misunderstand the target's intentions and motivations. And I took the final master because it sounded like a lot of fun. When you declare a plan, you roll. If you get a strong hit, you hold 2. On a 7 and 9, you hold 1. When carrying out your plan, you can spend your hold to add +1 forward to a roll, clear an element, or have a vital item at hand. On a miss, you hold 1 with the tables turning against you at some point. So I'm thinking kind of like a behind the scenes sort of plotter, planner, mastermind kind of a character.
Do you imagine that you serve a particular master, or are you more Lady de Winter to the highest coin, or do you have like a code? What do you think?
No, I definitely think that I serve a master.
Okay.
Again, I'll probably choose that when we come up, start working on the factions and
Sure,
so forth.
sure.
So I'm imagining I am embedded with one faction at the behest of another faction.
Okay.
Let's see. I chose very high earth, very high steel, just to sort of reflect that sort of calculated, patient sort of character. And then his fighting style is improvised, and I chose my worst element because he's just not very good at it.
Interesting.
That is sort of the last resort, is relying on fire and relying on weapons.
What do you think your typical cover story will be?
I think something like because he is a mute, I think it is going to be something that is like a servant, maybe something like that, right? Something that is just unassuming but with access.
Mm-hmm. One of the things you want to think about when we come to entanglements is how the people in your entanglements know you. Like, do they know the real Nicholas, or do they know a cover identity or things like that? So you can play around with that, but we'll definitely want to establish that when we build those entanglements. Each of those entanglements is a triangle. It's your relationship to one person that is complicated by a relationship to another. And you'll choose one romantic and one general. How old did you say?
I didn't, but that's a great question. I would say he is somewhere in his 30s.
Okay, so a little bit older. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Okay, I think that gives us enough to work on. We'll come back to you with the entanglements. Let us come to Patrick. Patrick, what is your character's name?
Haha, you can't trick me. I have so many names. My character's name is Luca Genet. And he is the Bravo playbook. He's a thief. He's pretty young, I think like 24. A picture down at the bottom. Tan and very dark hair. Very pretty. He's good at steel, not so great at earth, and pretty terrible at wood. Caution is his thing, but patience is not.
Mm-hmm.
He can delay gratification for fear of being hurt, but not for very long. The thief move, you have a charming smile and live well, but behind the scenes you indulge in a life of crime. But I am no common criminal. I simply deserve finer things in life and only steal from those who can afford it, bloated nobles and corrupt officials. I have a criminal identity with a legendary name. Dang it! You snuck a
Go
name
on.
requirement in the middle there.
But you'll come up with that, like the fox or something like that.
No, it's not the fox. That's too easy. It's something totally different and cooler. Way cooler. Might be the fox. Anyways, I also have a foil, a magistrate or investigating official who pursues you but passes you information via their bumbling. And so I have Melicentia LaCroix, who is whatever the like legal infrastructure is. She's one of those higher up people. Just very earnest, trusting, like believes in the hierarchy, believes in the truth of people. And so it's very easy for her assistant, Guillaume Dumont, to lie to her and use her as a cover to travel around, being my nemesis, another thief.
Excellent.
I sort of didn't realize when I chose Nemesis that Thief sort of came with that, so I decided to merge them together, and it's a pair, basically.
That's great.
So Guillaume is another thief. He'd wriggled his way into the legal judicial infrastructure of the state here and managed to get himself assigned to a pretty sweet position in exchange for, I'm sure there's someone higher up that he's paying a cut of what he manages to steal to in order to get him this prime position.
And he can lay his crimes at your feet.
Yes, or at least try to, because that is ever the game with us, trying back and forth to foil each other's schemes.
Excellent.
And then given all that complication, for my other move, I went simple and just went with it takes a thief. So bonds and passages, doors and windows, cell doors and handcuffs, none of those hold me from home.
Excellent. And how old did you say?
I think like 24.
Okay. So somewhat young. How long have you been a thief? Since you were a youngster, or is this a more recent thing?
No, I think it's a lifelong thing.
Okay.
I think son of a thief sort of thing.
So are you imagining then you gathered enough money to establish a noble identity, or rather than being a noble who turned to crime?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I like a faked noble identity. And my style, I went with a sword breaker dagger, so that he, like all of the sort of fencing and saber, thin or flexible swords of the time, he has a very sturdy dagger with notches in it that catches and bends or snaps those. And
Excellent.
then he's perfectly happy to get in close with the sharp edge of that dagger or with fists.
I like it. We will come back to you to talk about entanglements in just a moment. Let us come, Chris, tell us about your character.
We're playing a loyal swordsman, Sylvain de Montaigne, using he, him pronouns. And he's a fellow in his later middle age. I'm thinking like late 30s. Maybe early 40s. He's got an easy smile, a sturdy, like, aging fighter sort of build. Like, he's not as lithe as he used to be, but you can tell that he still fights for a living. And he has a fashion tick where he will almost always be wearing some sort of light cloak or cape that he can sweep off when he's ready to get into a proper duel. He fights with paired weapons, generally a sword and main gauche or sword and dagger. His element for that is water, because his particular style emphasizes situational awareness and flexibility. Basically, he's always moving, often in a way that is a little deceptive for someone with his build, and for someone who's getting a little past a fighter's prime. He took obviously the swordsman move, which basically lets him take a bit of a beating and still fight well. When he can mark one wounded and suffer no penalty, but when he marks the second wounded, he'll take the normal -2 ongoing. He has a legendary martial reputation. He is who you think he is. So he is his reputation is recognized. He may not be, depending on like if he covers his face or something like that, but that martial reputation is always there. And his other move is the Nick of Time, letting him basically, if he wants to, he can burn a bond with someone to immediately show up at their location. Sort of pulling the swashbuckling Batman sort of move.
So, how do you think you became a swordsman? Was it a family thing? Did you serve in the military? Were you picked off the street by a sword instructor? How do you think that occurred?
I think he began with military service. It was one way for him to better himself, move a little bit up wealth wise, and so I figure he started off like he started off as a standard foot soldier, but one of the trainers happened to notice that in his younger days that he had a certain talent and tenaciousness that they thought they could build upon, and they did. And he served his time in that original unit and was promoted further. So I'm trying to figure out which faction he would be basically in as far as like loyal to. Of course, given the genre, I lean toward the Musketeers, but that may not necessarily be the case depending on what factions we have.
Well, certainly whatever you establish is what we'll play with. So you imagine your family commoners, or was it very much sort of a D'Artagnan style petty noble?
I think they're more commoners. Basically, not necessarily sort of like the peasant farmer, but I'm thinking like some sort of like merchant family.
Okay.
Like a town shopkeeper or something like that, where he would have an opportunity to interact with like the military in a way other than just being basically pulled off the farm sort of thing.
Okay. That makes sense to me. And I think that gives us enough to work with. We'll come back with you on entanglements. Let us return. Actually, I'm going to ask, let's take 5 here. If you don't mind, let's take our first break. We'll go to the hour, and then we'll come back into entanglements to be a little bit easier for me. Okay. All right. So we're going to start with the entanglement process, which will begin with Tyler, and we'll have Tyler pick whether Tyler wishes to do the romantic or the general entanglement first. We'll go around and we'll do the other one after we've done everybody else. And again, entanglement is your relationship with one person that's complicated by a relationship with a third. And within that, at least one of your entanglements should include a PC. And of course, that's one of those things where you ask, are everybody interested in this? Put out there for consideration and approval. Tyler, Renaud, would you like to begin with your romantic or your general entanglement?
My general.
Okay, what are you thinking about for your general entanglement, Renaud?
All right. I have hidden my true identity from, and I think I'm going to say Nicholas.
Ooh.
Because of my past with, and I want to kind of maybe workshop this a little here.
Sure.
Daniel, what is your opinion of like the aristocracy?
It involves guillotines.
Excellent. That works out perfectly then. Then I'm thinking that having to do with my past with a particular lord, we'll just, I'll come up with a name for, but that reflects my family history.
So basically, Nicholas. Do you imagine that's in his identity as a spy or as a cover identity?
Yeah. What do you think, Daniel? Are you hiding who you are from us?
I don't think so necessarily. I'm not married to that idea.
Okay.
So you, Renaud, know that Nicholas is involved in some interesting activities.
Mm-hmm.
But ironically, you are the one trying to hide your family's relationship that might have had, because the aristocracy might have caused some problems for Nicholas's family.
Perhaps, yeah, and yeah, I think so. And then, of course, there might just be that general animosity to the nobility that's there as a driving force as well.
Well, who is the third name in this relationship? Who is the person that we get to focus? Because it's a connection between you and Nicholas. And well, who's the third person complicating it?
I'm going to put Lord Marat.
So Lord Marat, sinister, villainous, exploitative noble, but one who also has a history with your family.
Yeah, probably my uncle.
Okay. All right. Well, that gives us something good to work from. And in general, we'll come back on your romantic in a moment. Daniel, would you like to do your general or your romantic? Do you have an idea what you'd like for one of those?
Sure. So one of the names has to be, excuse me, another character.
In at least one of the two. In at least one of the two, your player should be there. A player.
Oh wow, this would be wacky.
Okay.
So Patrick, what do you think if I chose the entanglement, the romantic entanglement, I love blank, who I overlooked for too long, and now they love blank. And the first blank is your nemesis?
I think that's interesting. Yeah, go for it.
Okay. And then the second blank would have to be another player.
Interesting. So,
or it could be your nemesis's boss. Either way.
So read me the sentence that you're working from.
Sure. Let me just paste it in there.
Oh, okay.
That'd be easier, huh?
Okay.
Let me find it. Okay. Sorry, give me 1 second. There we go.
Okay. So who is it that you love right now?
I think so. I think it would either be. Oh, I'm gonna butcher these names so hard. Melicentia.
Yeah, Melicentia and Guillaume.
Melicentia. Yeah, one of the two of them.
Do you want the nemesis or his nemesis's master?
Let's do his nemesis's master.
Okay.
And I'm actually thinking maybe I'm under her employ.
Ah. Does she know that you're a spy? Or do you have kind of hidden that away?
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. I guess when I said that, I thought maybe I was under her employ as a spy, but maybe I am under her employ as a spy. If that makes sense. If that distinction makes sense. Yeah.
And
that would be really interesting if I were in her, if I were spying on her, but also in love with her.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That sounds like the best.
Spying on her. And who does she love now?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I absolutely don't want to force that on anybody. So is anyone interested in that?
To have this inspector of the gendarmes of the essentially a detective in love with you.
I could see Sylvan having some connection with that, since he's since he has that that role in the military and close to the halls of power.
You're a little bit older. She admires your excellence.
Reputation.
Yeah. She used to perhaps be enamored of Nicholas, but that has changed since Nicholas was cold to her, and now she has turned to you, Sylvan. Okay, so that gives us your romantic. We'll come back and do your general. Patrick, would you like to do your romantic or your general?
They're all so much. So, okay, I'd start with this, but maybe twist it some. But it's local authority blank, hence they know of my shady dealings against my mentor blank and their family. But what if it was that Melicentia was starting to peel back my father's identity? So
okay.
it's with that son of a thief idea that he's out there, he's made some stable name for himself. But I've gotten word that she's starting to investigate into that. Does that make sense?
Sure. So basically, it's I'm worried that Melicentia will reveal my father's criminal identity.
Yeah.
What is your father's nom de crime?
Well, I mean, he's obviously the fox, isn't he?
Okay, absolutely, yes.
My crime name, by the way, is the Golden Spider, which is way cooler. It's so much cooler.
Oh, it's so much cooler than the fox.
I mean, he's just the fox. Like, just what even color is the fox? Who knows?
Father says, the fox, one breath to say my name. The Golden Spider. Doesn't trip off the tongue, does it, son?
Nice.
But perhaps later on you'll find a good name.
Using this one for now.
Yes, it's a placeholder. We'll workshop it later. Sylvan, general or romantic? Romantic.
Let's see. I think I'll try to do the I'll try and do the general first. The general I picked was, I want to duel against my social superior blank, and now they take out their anger on blank, on my friend blank, who is their lover.
Ooh.
Let's see, who might want to I'm guessing my social superior will probably be like some random noble that we can easily hate. That sounds good.
Okay. So
but who wants to be who would anybody want to be their lover, or should I throw another NPC under that bus?
Sorry, read that one more time.
Would it be your lover or would it be their lover?
It says their lover. The entanglement is their lover.
Yeah, and I think that's meant to be. You can choose whether they're taking it adversarial against a third person, or maybe that they have some sway over the person that you love, and they're taking their anger out on them.
Well, the way it reads, I might be just.
Well, no, I'm saying you can do it either way. That's what I'm saying. And
okay.
Which way would you like to handle that?
I kind of like the idea that they have this connection to someone who's my friend.
Okay.
And they're taking it out on. They take it out on them. Probably, probably through snubbing and social stuff. I don't see it being anything. I don't see them wanting to do any more than that.
So who is your friend? Is it that they could apply social pressure to, that they know is a friend of yours? Probably this seems like it might be an NPC, or Renaud also seems like a likely candidate.
It would have to be someone who's public enough to. I don't see the thief of our spider and our spy.
Well, keep in mind, Luca has an identity as a noble.
Oh.
I mean, don't ask too many questions. Don't try and go look up my family estate. But yeah, I'm definitely a noble.
Let's see. What would anybody like to be the friend who is basically being heckled by this person I defeated in a duel? And maybe also have some sort of romantic connection with them?
We don't even necessarily need a romantic one on that.
Okay, have some connection with them, I guess.
Yeah, I can see that.
So maybe we've got is like a captain of one of the guards that you defeated in a duel, who has since then, tried to get even with you, found out that you're friends with Luca, and so certainly takes advantage of his position as a captain of a guard to cause problems for Luca as well. Does that seem reasonable?
I like that. Patrick, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I like that. I think Luca has no end of all levels of infractions against whatever codes we have that people could try and be bringing him down for, valid or not.
So what do we want to, do you have a name for this captain?
Let's see. Captain... Captain Remy Marino.
Excellent. Tyler. Renaud, that brings us back to you. And while we have your general, now we need to peer into your love life.
Yeah. I will first off ask if anyone is interested in a romance in party. I wouldn't mind exploring that if, but if not, I can go elsewhere with it.
I'd be down for that.
Okay. Then the one I'm sort of thinking of is along the lines of I love you. But either they have a family member who's sworn vengeance against me, or I have a family member who is a huge villain, or your it says sibling, but I guess family member thinks I'm below you, beneath you. What do you think on those ends? And we have someone could swear, I think, vengeance against me based on this family line that I really don't acknowledge or deal with. We have my family as potentially awful nobles, or we have the fact that I seem like a bumbling moron sort of person, and maybe your family member just thinks, why would you be involved with this idiot?
I could definitely see Luca having fallen in love with someone that his father had sworn vengeance against.
Excellent. Then that works well for me.
So
It's a real relationship. It's totally real, and it's not built on anything like Teenage Rebellion.
so you love Luca, but Luca's father, the fox, has sworn vengeance on your family, Renaud.
Yes, that sounds good.
I'm going to assume then that somehow your family was involved in sending someone from the foxes, like one of the foxes' loves, to the gallows or something.
Oh, that makes
to the
sense.
guillotine.
Excellent.
Perhaps, though the fox has not revealed it and will never actually really say it, perhaps even Luca's mother.
Ooh.
Nicholas, we have your romantic. What do you think for your general?
I think I will take. I am blackmailing blank to save the life of my friend blank.
Ooh.
That is very red. There we go. So obviously the first blank has to be some powerful noble person. I don't know who that would be yet, but I'm happy to
A
take
lord,
suggestions.
a lady?
Yeah. Lord so-and-so.
I'm writing so and so.
He was the greatest of them all.
Absolutely. Lord so and so.
So, yeah. And then I can certainly just make up a friend unless someone would like to be my friend. And if so, I would love to know what the blackmail is. Or why, I'm sorry, why your life was threatened by Lord so-and-so.
I'd be your friend. Or no, go for it, Tyler. I have several.
I was just going to say that I have a bond towards you, so this would maybe reciprocate it. But now that I think about it, it's probably better for you, Patrick, because I'm already hiding something from Nicholas. So,
Okay. So read that to me again? Sorry.
It's I am blackmailing Lord so-and-so to save the life of my friend such and such, which I assume is you now. So why?
Well, I mean, it definitely has something to do with something I stole from Lord So and So.
I bet it does. Yeah. All right.
A purloined necklace would be the most appropriate one for that.
Nice, love it.
And Lord So and So knows that Lucas stole it and would be hunting him down, but for your blackmail against Lord So and So. Though we probably won't call him something better than So and So.
Yeah. I will start working on that immediately.
Do you think Luca knows? Do you think you've told him that, like,
Ooh.
Lord So and So had tracked it down to him and was ordering vengeance, but you had gotten in the way?
No, I don't think I would have told you that. Why ever would I tell you that?
Nice.
That's a secret. Don't give away secrets.
That can be a surprise. Yeah.
And then we swing back to Luca. We've done your general. What about your romantic?
So I was wanting to ask her a question. I was, paying attention to name generators and things.
Yes,
But who is the person shadowboxing for Renaud? Or the organization?
we don't know. The strange figures who call him Le Petit Lord, the little prince.
Okay. How about I'm going to twist this one. I love Renaud, but his mysterious backers consider me beneath him.
Oh, that is perfect. Yeah.
So we need a name for one of the backers, like one who is known, who, like, off screen we know that they're involved with this, but on screen perhaps Renaud doesn't know. Maybe someone that Renaud respects.
Okay, so probably not one of the bumbling footmen, but somebody who's above them.
Yeah.
How about Madame Lautrec?
Madame Lautrec. She has always been a person you can go to in Paris. She's always been helpful to you. She's always been able to get you out. But when you do visit her, and she's like a cousin of an aunt of a friend. But when you do go and visit her, she is very much of the tut-tut when you speak of or hint that you might be doing something with Luca. Does that seem reasonable?
I like that.
Which brings us to Sylvan. Sylvan, what do you want for your romantic?
Let's see. I've got I love blank, but I cannot tell them the truth about what happened to their lover blank. I was trying to think of who might fit into that bond.
Well, you've already got one with a PC, so you can do two NPCs if you want.
Okay. Let's see. I'll say that he has fallen for a lady who owns a tavern in the city.
Okay, and her name?
Her name is Emily Gusteau. And I think that their lover was a member of the armed forces that was sent that was basically deployed to a foreign base of some sort. And I have heard that that they were captured by a hostile group and are believed to be dead. But I have not been able to bring myself to tell Amelie about it.
Okay. So
and the lover's name will be
Martin Guerrero. Yeah.
I mean, that's just as good as any. I was I was trying to come up with something.
Well, probably like Martin Gusteau, let's say, because we have her name there. Or were they not married?
Oh, let's let them be married. That seems that complicates it even more.
Excellent. All right, that gives us now. Each of you can create a one bond from each of those relationships. You pick one of the figures that's in each of those entanglements, and you'll write a bond in with them under bonds. Bonds can be spent at any time after a roll to give yourself a +1 on the roll, and you can spend it after you roll. All right. I'm going to mute myself for 2 minutes here while I drink, and then we'll get started.
I am having the weirdest pain today where it feels like a bee is stinging me just above my shoulder blade, and it sends a horrible, shocking pain all the way down to my fingertip. And that's why I went black there for a moment, because it was sufficient that it makes my head shake. It hurts so much.
I am having a set of old pains today that I used to get when I had toothaches that would essentially, there's this cluster of nerves that run down your body that go to where your heart is, such that it feels like you're having a slight heart attack.
Oh.
You're not. It's just chest pains. I know this because I had to go get scans and MRIs and stuff, and they're like, nope, nothing. And then they were like, do you have any problems with your teeth? And I'm like, yeah. Okay, well, there you go.
I've had some like chest muscle problems, and they, I learned that there's something that they just diagnose as they call it abdominal wall pain. Like the muscles in your chest and upper body just hurt in that same area, like right over where your heart is.
It's like chronic fatigue syndrome. It's something like that.
I was like, great, thanks.
Let me ask you this, Renaud. Now that you and your friends have been forced up these steps into this clock tower, bell tower, if we flash back, how did you get challenged to a duel? What happened?
I believe that it happened innocently enough. We were in a pleasant enough establishment, having a bit of light food and much heavier drink, and I stumbled back into them, and as is my usual action, I apologized profusely. When I turned around, I was shocked to see how hideously ugly they were, and I tried to cover it very well. I said, "Oh my God!" And then I went, "Oh, and the heavens above!" But they noticed, and perhaps something showed in my face. Or perhaps it was, oh dear God, what happened to you, that I followed up with. But they took it quite personally, and I just it's a shame. It's a shame. Whatever happened to them is a terrible shame, but it's a shame that they took offense.
And at what point did you notice that they were wearing the livery of the Cardinals Guards?
That would have happened well after the comments. And perhaps it was it probably would have come to my attention um when amongst those oh gods mentioned perhaps, that they had been cursed by God, and that's when it became a bit
Then they
more
all
apparent.
rose at that point.
Yes.
So tell me, how did you get roped into this, to going to this abandoned churchyard, where for what you thought was going to be a minor like skirmish duel, Nicholas, that got out of hand, that we have triplets, brothers and sisters that are here along with some of the Cardinals Guards. How did you get roped in on this?
Well, I think that obviously, since there was a lot of drink going around, I was drunk out of my gourd. And when I thought I was being invited as a second, what was actually happening was I was being invited to this brawl.
Yeah, and so that you would have realized once you kind of got to the kind of cold night air in the courtyard of this place, that this felt more like an ambush than an actual duel, and in part because they noticed Luca. And Luca, what is the old grudge held by one of these Cardinals guardsmen against you?
Well, I think really the church is to blame for making crosses with so many jewels on them. I mean, it's just, does God need that many jewels to see that you have a cross? It's ostentatious, and who can be helped if, such a small, shiny, bejeweled, expensive thing falls into a sack, and then who knows where sacks get to.
So
You're doing them a service, really.
Yeah. So
for their
you're in
souls.
your golden spider identity, then, is what you're saying to me.
Oh, right now? Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
well.
If that's the case, then you're in your golden spider identity, and they're not only, they have an old grudge against you for having gotten past their security, stolen it from underneath their noses. Plus there's certainly a good amount of gold, francs on offer for bringing in the golden spider.
Well, it was, Renaud was getting into this really embarrassing public argument with someone, and you want to just hide your face as best you can, and sometimes that's with the golden spider mask instead of the fan that you thought it was.
And let me ask then, Sylvain, what was the circumstance here when the fight kind of started that put all of you at a disadvantage, such that you had to fall back to this clock tower?
Oh, I think what happened is you had this sort of cascading effect of other people getting involved. It initially, like, it was just going to be like a duel, but then, like, I'm thinking the way that Renaud's fighting style is, I think he staggered into some other group, and they took it as an affront. So another group of nobles like sort of like bowed up and sort of push their way into this fight, which caused, maybe one of us, probably Sylvan, to sort of step in and try to push them back. And of course, one of them bumps into someone else and starts a shouting match. And it kept building and building until we had, and then a garrison of the local gendarmes was called in, and they have no idea who is who. They're just trying to break up this fight, but it's too late. So now they're just trying to fight everybody, and then they call in reinforcements. So we have like this sort of perfect storm of factions that are now like pushing us back.
There are gendarmes and troops in the street right now. People are pulling up flagstones, as is classic. But your group has been pushed back by this sort of mix of this noble's entourage and these cardinal's guards, and pushed up into this bell tower. And imagine that sort of it's a stone bell tower, but it's a kind of square up steps. And I imagine that right this moment, Sylvan is probably at the lowest point of the four of you, kind of holding that position, kind of defending. But you're the furthest along here, Renaud. So what do you want to do? How do you want to get out of this situation?
Oh my gracious sakes alive! Things just have. I find this really just so embarrassing that I brought us to this sad state. I think looking at the basic moves. I think I need to study what we've got going on here.
Absolutely. So you've paused. You're at the steps just to we see the bells up above and the ropes and all of those things. Very Hunchback of Notre Dame. This church is being renovated, so it's not in use currently. So what do you want to roll that study move with?
It sounds like water awareness and flexibility of what we can do. So rolling +1. Roll the dice. Oh, that's a 5.
That is a 5. Now, you have 2 bonds if you want to burn both of them.
Oh, what's too early for that? This sounds like good troubles.
Then I think as you step back, there is that moment when you realize why they're renovating. And I think that's when the floor gives way and you will fall. And now you're suspended in that space, kind of pretty close to where these guys are with blades, but you're hanging on the bell rope, which is now ringing, kind of going up and down. And some of them are turning like, oh, now we can stab this guy. Mark an element.
Okie dokie.
Okay.
And it's the element I used, correct?
In this case, yes.
Yes. All right.
So you've fallen back, Nicholas. This has gotten out of hand. And as you're kind of, moving up, you see Ren through and fall, but you see him catch himself on the bell ropes, and suddenly the bells start pealing here. What do you want to do? You could certainly continue to try and make your escape. You could study the situation. You could try and help Ren.
Yeah, Ren can take care of himself. This is what he normally does.
Yes.
This is how it normally looks. What when he's ahead of the game, this is what he looks like.
Absolutely.
He's at his best when he's hanging from a rope by his legs. So I think I would like to try. So I'm not 100% familiar with the basic moves. I'm just sort of peeking through them right now.
So yeah, tell me what you'd like to do.
Yeah, so I would like to try to just sort of like kind of take in the situation and look for a weakness, look for a path out of it.
That is study.
Study. There it is. Perfect. Okay. So I'm going to kind of just like, I'm going to kind of back out and sort of like in Nicholas's head, like all of the sounds just sort of go away,
Mhm.
and he just begins to focus on like exits and troop positioning and things like that. So I guess that sounds like maybe a steal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's 2d6 plus 2. Okay, got it. Oh, it's only a 7.
But that's still one hold. Now you can spend that hold to ask a question about a person, ask a question about a situation, declare a fact.
Hmm.
You can essentially effectively answer the question you want to ask, or you can learn someone's scale. But that's probably not the most important thing right now.
Right. Okay. So I can ask a question about a situation, or I can reveal a detail. I'm going to actually ask, what is the best escape route from here?
Probably the best escape route is going to be going off from the bell tower and dropping down onto the roof of the church itself along the main sort of chapel, because it's not that big a fall. There are no windows facing out along the tower towards that side, and you think that with a good balance and so on, and given that there's construction scaffolding, you might be able to make your way along that way.
All right. So that being the case, I think that Nicholas is going to he's going to bump Luca to get his attention, and he's going to direct his eyes in that direction.
Luca, what are you doing?
I'm sorry, what was it that he found?
Points off from the edge of the bell tower, like towards the top of the chapel, as a path of exit. But then again, Ren is also dangling precariously.
Yeah, I mean, we may need a moment to gather for a good escape. So I'll step down a few steps right up behind where Sylvan is, fighting the leading guard of them.
Yeah.
And I'll just say, hiding behind his back because he's very convenient that way. I'll say, I don't know if you've considered, I realize you're having a wonderful time playing with your friends, but I don't know if you've considered that it would be much more helpful actually if they stopped coming further up, as I think we've run a bit out of platform. And I think as I'm doing that, I'm not just entirely being an ass. So as he's dueling with people, I mean, it could just be. I'm waiting for opportunities to sneak my sword breaker out over his shoulder, and anytime he gets in a bind or a catch with someone, I'm trying to foul up their weapons.
So that feels like a support when it comes to his actions. Does that seem right?
Yeah.
So let us come to you, Sylvan. We've got this press of forces right now. It's mostly troops. The others, the more sophisticated swordsmen, are trying to make their way up. But you've also got Ren dangling. And Lucas pointed out the limitations to the path that you are taking.
Ooh, I think that if the folks at the front of this press are troops, I think I'd like to try and deal with them.
Okay, yeah, it seems like you can deal, push them back to give yourself a moment of breathing space. Yeah, so you get a +1 because of your yes, I am who you think I am. And then your element is water, so you roll with a +3 right now.
Okay, let's
There's
see how this
almost
goes.
no chance that you could fail.
Almost no chance at all, really.
Absolutely. It's not even worth discussing.
Yes, I actually did fail.
But what's your total?
It's a total of 6.
And this is the reason why Luca is behind you, waiting to support you. Luca, You may now comfort and support, and hopefully you will do well enough that you will not be tied up in his fail.
Let's hope. So I'm going with steel. This is very much control and precision timing to catch these swords without, sliding them into Sylvan's neck or something like that. Oh, geez. That's a 14.
That is a 14. So you create a bond that you immediately burn to bump up, deal with the troops to a 7. And because they're just troops, tell me what that looks like, how you drive back a few of them. Wilhelm scream off the side as you're doing this.
I think, or wait, am I describing it, or
You're
is
describing,
Luca?
since this is your deal with troops. We
Okay.
know what Luca is doing to assist, but what do we see you doing there?
I think what happens is, as soon as Sylvan realizes that basically Luca is coming in with the sword breaker, I think basically he's shifting himself around to sort of move those blades up into positions where the sword breaker can be of use. And I think basically what happens is they're all trying to come in this doorway to the clock tower and come up these and get to the stairs.
Yeah,
And
they're
I'm
on the stairs. You're kind of like almost at the top, so you're kind of on that sort of fighting down the steps.
Okay, so I think what happens is I'm swinging and moving back and forth to allow the sword breaker to hit in and like break swords, and those people are falling back. And then I am moving back and forth, and as swords get broken, I'm just sort of booting those people back into the others, and they're sort of creating a tangle that it's hard for the actual duelists and other people to get past.
Perfect. And Luca rolled a 10 plus. So Luca has also given you a bond with them that you can mark on your sheet.
Okay, I'll mark that. Thank you.
Ren, swords come at you, but then Sylvan drives them back, giving you some breathing room, but you're still dangling. What do you want to do?
I think I'm going to attempt to climb the rope up.
So this is just an overcome to get up spryly to the top.
This sounds like fire.
Yeah.
So I will roll fire. Come on. That is a 13.
So tell me what that looks like. I mean, it isn't just that you climb up. How do you do this? What do we see on screen?
I'm kind of dangling. We've got the bell, bong, bong, bong. And then as I begin moving up, it starts with each pull begins a rhythm with the bells above, and a catchy little bit of a tune begins playing out from the bum 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 as I reach the top and flip onto the platform, looking down and look at me, Amor. You must come up.
A little busy at the moment.
We come back to you, Nicholas. Do you wish to lead the way, making your escape across the tops of the church there?
Yeah, definitely. It is time for a little not valor, more escape.
I think this is a simple overcome to do this with grace and panache.
Let's see. What should we roll with here?
You can always look at the positive or the negative aspects of that element.
Let's go with, let me roll with fire.
Okay.
This sounds a little reckless.
Absolutely.
So let's see, -1. Boom. 7.
A 7. So you will make it down and land on that church roof and be able to get some distance away from the tower, but you will hear a hue and a cry from below, because clearly some people have seen that is the way that you were escaping. You've still got room, but I think you weren't able to do it quite as quietly as you would have liked. Like maybe we see a tile go, you step and then we see the roof tile go down and then and look, Alonzi. I don't know. So let us return to Luca. Ren has gotten to the top. Nicholas has led the way. Do you wish to also withdraw?
Yes, I'll give Sylvana a pat on the back and say, I think that's enough fun with them. Perhaps we should, up and out. And I'll look at the fairly sensible leap across the roof that Nicholas has made, and the less immediately understandable choice that my dear Renaud has made. And, well, I mean, someone's got to help him out of these strange situations he puts himself in. So I'll point Sylvan to the rooftop while I head to the bell to try and climb up the ropes.
Oh, well, yeah, you're at the top of the bell tower where Ren has landed at the top. You could, if you wanted to, grab him and say, grab the bell rope and lower yourself down the outside of the tower.
I mean, that only sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Can it be like a sort of running thing down the side and around the corner to get to the roof that Nicholas is on?
Oh yeah, I love that. Yeah. So you grab him and run down, perfectly perpendicular. It definitely looks like it's filmed by the guy who did Resident Evil films. Has that kind of action look to it.
This is all completely real. This is how ropes work.
Yeah. This is
how gravity does. Yeah.
And you are swept off your feet, Ren, and then a moment later, you are
Not
there
for the
on the
first
roof.
time.
Absolutely. Tell me how you make your escape here. You can see coming up is one of these duelists from the Cardinal's guards. How do you get out of there, Sylvan? Or do you wish to stay?
Ooh, I'm tempted, but I think at this point, since my friends have made their exit, I no longer need to fight today. And while this is a great location for a duel, now is not maybe the right time. I'm still a little hungover from the previous night, maybe not quite at my best. So I think Sylvan, gives the quick salute and basically sees what Luca has done with the bell rope, and thinks about it for a second, and then I think just sort of basically does a classic swashbuckling, like flip down to the other roof. Doesn't really bother with the rope.
Perfect. Then I think that you will also make it down to the roof. And if the four of you wish to continue and make your way away into the night, I don't even think there's necessarily a roll, since you can make your way down. You're relieved that it has been a dry winter and there is no ice or snow at this moment on the roof. But we will cut to you in the streets there. Perhaps, I assume, a little caution. See you moving through some alleys to get away from this, unless you wish to double back and fight the gendarmes and the military and such.
No. I mean, maybe we'll pencil that in for like next week.
Fair enough.
Yeah, let's put a pin in that.
So there'll be that moment where you all catch your breaths and you can bid each other adieu until the next time. and you will melt away into the darkness there. Let's move forward. I want to do a once around to get a scene of each of your sort of daily lives, maybe to set something up as well. Ren, what, when the camera comes to you, where do we see you bunking? Where do you lay your head at night?
I think we find me in a nice room. You know, it's not flashy or super elegant, but a well put together room in a hotel, in an inn. I travel enough. I don't have a permanent sort of address, and I sometimes have a habit of running up a bit of a bill, and of course I'll be back to pay it later, but but this is the place I'm staying now, and again it's an upper scale but not absolute luxury.
There is it's damnably early, but there is a knock at the door.
I'll kind of get out of the bed. I'm probably wearing a long nightshirt, but I'm savvy enough to recognize this could be trouble. So I will reach down and pick up the, let's see, 1700s. We'll say the chamber pot. I haven't used it.
Absolutely.
And have that in my hand as I go to the door. Yes.
Monsieur Lefleur, Madame Lautrec has sent me to. Oh, not Madame Lautrec. No, that's for. Oh yeah. Madame Lautrec has sent me to gather you up. She wishes to speak with you.
I'll open the door a crack and look out.
There's a footman there.
Babbo, this is dreadfully early.
Is it?
Isn't it?
You look at you realize that the sun's at a slightly different angle than you would have expected.
I suppose it's all perspective.
As you say, young sir. But Madame Lautrec would like to speak with you. We have a carriage out front. If you could.
Yes, of course. Let me get dressed.
I will wait upon your convenience, sir.
And I will quickly throw upon my clothes and strap on. I have a rapier, though.
The tag's still on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little hard to get out of the sheath because of I don't really take good care of it.
You spilt something in it in the sheath at one point, and now it's really hard. You need to get it running like under hot water, but you will go downstairs, and Bibo will take you to the carriage, and you are driven to Madame Lautrec's. And we'll come back to that in just a moment. Where does a spy sleep?
Well, I think right now he just has an apartment like anybody else. I think that he's in his very small and painfully well-organized apartment, sitting at a desk, scrawling on some papers, probably doing some actual work for Melicentia that he has to have done by the morning and he's behind because he spent the night carousing with his friends and nearly getting killed.
Like we saw with Renaud, there is a knock, though this one is a finger tap code that alerts you that it is someone who you know.
So he'll He'll get up from his desk and walk over to the door and open it.
And you will see that it is Demont, Millicentia's assistant, who was essentially a co-worker for you. And he will bow and he says, I am so sorry to have to bother you at home, but urgent matters have come up, and may I come in?
Oh, Nicholas will sort of peek behind to see if he's been followed, and assuming not, will allow him entrance.
Comes in, takes off his hat, he sets it down, settles himself into a chair. I had an interesting piece of information come through my networks early this morning, and I just thought I would ask because I am very curious, because it may pertain to certain operations that are coming up here shortly. One of the people I know said that you were seen in the midst of a, well, let's say brawl, for want of a better word, but that the Golden Spider was there as well.
So Nicholas will, I assume that we can communicate via sign.
Oh yeah,
or
signs.
something?
You both. He knows a code. He knows the sign language. So he's been saying this, and he waits for your response.
Okay. So when you say that Demont came and he tapped on the door in code, did he tap in the door? Like, is he a fellow spy? Is that what we're saying?
No, but he's an investigator, and since he knows that he probably has a code so that you can recognize when he comes to call.
Okay, so he's friendly in fake life and not friendly in real life.
Yes.
I gotcha. Yeah. Okay. So I think Nicholas will just sign to him and say, I have a very common face. Surely you have me mistaken for someone else. And we're going to try to deceive him, I think.
Excellent. Let's have you roll hearts and minds.
All right. Okay.
What does this feel like?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm having some difficulty making these decisions.
Is this about you? I mean, is your reading of people, about calculation when you do your manipulation, or is it?
I think generally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then let's have you roll with steel.
Let's do it. Does that work? Yeah. Okay. An 8.
An 8. I think he doesn't press the point, and he seems to. Perhaps my informants were mistaken. It does matter, especially if the Golden Spider is out and exposing himself, as it were. You see, there is to be a party tomorrow night, the winter solstice, the longest night of the year. There will be a party given by the Queen at the palace at dusk and lasting until day breaks. And she has requested that the Royal Treasury supply her with ornaments that otherwise might be kept away unless the king was there. And as you can imagine, myself and our mistress, Millicentia, have been assigned to assist. And of course, anything that you could add about Golden Spider if you find out anything. Because I believe that it is he that will likely take this up as well. We have it as well. We have it on good authority that the fox has arrived in town. He's here in Paris and will also be attempting to make their way into this gathering.
So Nicholas will sign. Do we have sufficient men to protect the jewels?
Do we ever have sufficient men? I'm uncertain, especially with some of the Cardinal's guard and some others injured last night. But we will see to that. Cynthia has asked that you spend your time today seeing what you can gather on the ground about the Golden Spider and the Fox. And then tomorrow, perhaps assist with the managing of security. This is a very nice apartment. Perhaps a little more ostentatious than mine, even though yours is very bare bones.
Very bare bones, right?
Says that as a dig. He says, but picks up his hat. I will be seeing you.
I'll walk him to the door and close it behind him.
And let's come to Luca. Luca, where do you sleep? What is your apartment look like?
So I don't think I have a permanent apartment in the city right now. There's a lot of moving around and running from, to glorious opportunities, not running from anything. That would be ridiculous. But I'm currently staying in a fairly high-end boarding establishment. And I say boarding establishment because, of course, the proprietress and her clients are wealthy enough that no one would ever call it a brothel.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. You have a couple of rooms to yourself. You're a noble. So you're given the right amount of space, but you are awoken by the sound of movement out in the other room.
I think Luca, his eyes sort of start awake, but he doesn't move or make a lot of noise. Instead, his hand reaches slowly under his pillow to pull out a small dagger. And he slips out of bed to try and sneak across the room and see what's going on.
And you will open it up, and you can see that some of that wine that you've been saving that you took from the vault of that last score has been opened and poured out. And you'll get that feeling at the pit of your stomach as you kind of angle, and we see your father drinking it down.
There's a moment as I step back from the door frame, and there's so many, but he knows he can't take long because his father obviously knows that he's awake and moving. He's just pretending that he hasn't heard him yet. So Luca, instead, grabbing the silk robe that's hanging on a hook there, flings open the door as he's flourishing the robe on, and comes out casually saying, "Well, I hope you've poured a glass for me as well. I did work so hard to obtain that."
Oh, certainly. I just said, I wasn't sure. I know you were always a heavy sleeper, even as a baby. And
yes. Well, it's so kind of you to have not woken me with worries of locks or privacy.
I don't think you were particularly worried about the locks since you chose a place with very poor security. Here. You might want to give it a little time to breathe.
Well, while we're letting the wine respire, what did you come to say?
Can't a father travel to the great city of Paris to see his darling son after so many months?
I mean, I do feel as if I've read about such things in fiction, novels.
They do seem a little removed from our lives, doesn't it?
So, just here for the nightlife?
Of a sort. So, is it still the Golden Spider?
Why should it have changed?
Well, that's neither here nor there. Ah, son. Looking well. Are you still involved with that gentleman?
Renaud?
LaFleur, yes.
Yes. Again, why should that have changed?
Because perhaps you would have grown up.
I hear that as men age, they slowly become their fathers, and I've taken great cares to avoid that thus far.
He says, yes, I can tell by your choice of name.
So was it just the wine then?
No, of course not. There is a job. A very pretty job.
There is a job. The most common greeting you have for me.
Why should it be any different? I taught you everything that you know. Why would I let such talents lie fallow?
So you're just looking after my interests. That's very sweet. A job. What sort of job have you managed to scrounge up out of the dirt?
I have managed to secure a invitation to the Queen's Winter Solstice Ball tomorrow night.
I think Luca, like, his sort of indolent lounging posture doesn't change, but where he's been sort of slowly swirling the wine, it's just, he goes very still. His eyes narrow a little bit as he stares at the fox.
And I may have had passed an evening with one of the Queen's handmaids and found out that the Queen has taken it upon herself because she has been, I don't want to say spurned, but ignored by the king. She will be decking herself out with all the finery and jewelry that she can.
Raiding the royal treasury?
Exactly. Now, do I have your attention?
Set the wine glass down. Fine, go on.
I think we cut away from that to Sylvan. Where do you sleep?
I'm thinking he has quarters like at the local regiment. Right now, I think his duties involve mostly training.
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't have an active conflict that would necessarily involve him at this point. So he's basically training recruits, and so he has relatively well appointed officer quarters, but not like top officer quarters.
And you will see come into the courtyard. You're kind of woken up and kind of looking out You see Captain Marino, who you dislike intensely, come in and speaks with the regimental commander, and there's some heated discussion there. What do you do?
I think usually, Sylvan's a military man. Like he is usually up with the sun, if not before. So I think he's going to make his way down towards the practice yards, as though he's going to prepare for training, and just see if he happens to overhear something interesting.
Let's have you make a study roll.
Okay. Let's see. This sounds like I would be cautious.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that's probably Earth might be a good thing to use there.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see how this goes. That is an 8.
It's an 8. So I think what you will pick up, and then you can ask a question or make a declaration, is that Marino is here to tell your regimental commander that he has been ordered to pick a set of men who will be doing guard duty at the palace during the ball tomorrow evening, because some of the fool Cardinal's Guard got themselves injured. And your commander is irritated because he has many men away on leave for the holidays, and so he's stretched somewhat thin.
I think I'll take the opportunity to declare a detail here.
Yes.
I think that one of Sylvan's just general duties is setting people on like duty lists. Like this person is qualified and trained to do this list of jobs right now, since he's one of the trainers, and so I think that once the commander gets that message, I think Sylvan will be one of the people he would discuss assignments with.
Yeah. So Marino gives this order, goes to leave, just about to leave, and then he catches you out of the corner of his eye, and there's that thing where he's been sort of pleased because he's been able to give orders, and then he sees you, and the edge of his mouth just turns down just a little before he leaves, like you've put a cloud over his day.
And of course, Sylvan smiles and tips his hat as would be proper.
Your captain walks over to you. Sylvan, we have a problem.
I saw he just left.
No. Beyond that, we have been ordered to provide additional guards for the Queen's Ball tomorrow evening. Apparently with some accident last night.
Well, this ball is certainly an affair that will be attended by many, many guards. I think it would behoove us, if we are providing a security force, to put our best foot forward. Because
half dozen men is what has been asked for to supplement the others.
I think I have a few on my list who come from sufficient backgrounds to where they would know how to conduct themselves properly in that environment.
All right.
And I would be happy to take on the other duties there as a supervisor. I know we have many people who are visiting home and family during this time of year.
Yes. Speak to the bursar, have him provide you with an allotment of extra coin to gift to whoever goes in. I want them compensated for their times.
I shall. Thank you, Commander. I will get on that immediately, and I will present you with the list of suggested individuals.
Yep. You take care of it. I respect your decisions. Whatever you say will be fine. I can think of no one we have in the company that I would say no to, that if you vouch for them.
I think so.
And we will bow there. We're gonna do one more round, and then we'll probably kind of leave that with the hanging Chad, the hanging bit there of this. So we cut to Renaud, you in the parlor of Madame Lautrec's place. What is the thing we see that tells us that she is old nobility?
I think as I come into the parlor, she is very tall, very thin, very stately. Her hair is already put into a full coif that probably has been done for the past several days. But
Yes.
we could see woven into it are bird feathers, and it is almost made to look like a bush that these birds are lighting in. And off to the side, she has an actual, even in this day and age, harpist playing for her. No one does a harpist anymore.
She presents her hand to you.
Mademoiselle, you are looking most wondrous.
And you seem like the night air has done wonders for you.
You know that I do enjoy a bit of nightly sprightliness.
As do all young people with hot blood like yourself.
What do I owe the honor of this invitation?
I need your assistance in a matter.
Anything I could possibly do.
My how shall I put this? My friend has a daughter who has recently been, what is the word for it? Jilted, I believe is the word.
Oh, such shame.
It is, especially as she is without an escort. And she has been invited to the Queen's Ball tomorrow night.
Oh, well, that it is terrible that this poor young lady has none to take her. Are you asking I find a friend?
No, I am saying that I wish you to accompany her. She is of a very good stock, a very fine line.
But, Mademoiselle, as you well know, I am already spending time with someone.
That is a dalliance, and it has no meaning whatsoever. Besides, that person is beneath you. I'm talking about you doing me a favor and accompanying, escorting this young woman who is of your station. There's no intention of anything beyond this, but it would be a great favor to me if you were to escort her.
And there has not been any attempt at matchmaking.
What do you mean?
I know that you have sent me to escort friends' daughters before, and they seem to have a rather broader scope of idea of what that implied.
Well, we'll have to see what things may come.
I am, of course, indebted to you and would never refuse a favor, but this would just be an escort for the evening.
Certainly. Why would I expect anything else?
I wonder why indeed.
Well, I will have my footman provide you with the details. Also, an allowance has been set aside for you to spruce up your outfit.
Much appreciated.
Yes, yes. My tailor will see you today.
Again, I am always in your debt.
Good day to you. Good Renaud.
And I will back out, and as I turn towards the door, I probably, because I really am happy to get some new clothes, will begin kind of humming a bit of a tune that the harpist was playing to myself as I head to be dressed.
Absolutely. Nicholas, what would be your next step in this day? Now that these things have been said, now you've heard these things.
Sure. So just to clarify, Nicholas does know that Luca is the Golden Spider. Is that correct?
I think we kind of suggested that that was the case.
Yeah,
Mhm.
sure.
Okay. So Nicholas would like to go visit Luca out of an abundance of caution. He's going to sort of, circle around the city and is going to take alleys and backtrack on himself and try to throw off any pursuers, since it has been insinuated that he has been spending time with the Golden Spider. But eventually he would like to wind up at Luca's place.
Absolutely. And I think there'll be that bit where we're getting to the end where your father has sort of finishing up his things, and we'll meet tomorrow and your father stops and says, there's someone here, Luca. Someone with a very quiet step. I should make myself scarce.
Yes, for caution's sake.
For caution's sake. And Nicholas, you can arrive and quietly present yourself to Luca.
And I'll say,
He'll sign.
yeah, what do you say?
Okay. Oh,
Oh,
hello, friend.
Hello, and he'll open the door wide for you. Thank you so much. You have no idea how glad I am that you stopped by right now. Please, would you like some wine?
He'll sort of look in. Are you alone?
Yes, blissfully alone.
Okay. Then, please. So, he'll come in and situate himself and accept a glass of wine, and over it he'll take a drink and then begin to sign. And he's just going to assume that Luca has heard about the ball tomorrow, because anything that fool Demont tells him obviously has to be known by you already. So,
Oh yes, well, I've obviously heard of the ball long since.
So it is anticipated that you will be there. It is also anticipated that the fox will be there. And then he'll sort of pause to see if you acknowledge that, or...
Really? So you heard that both the Golden Spider and the Fox might be there.
Mm.
And, I mean, just out of curiosity, which one did you hear about first?
You, of course.
Of course. Obviously. The Fox, I heard Well, he must have gone into retirement, right? He must be ancient by now.
Regardless of whether he is in fact coming or whether he is just a boogeyman that persists in their minds, I feel like it would be interesting to use his potential presence as a distraction of sorts.
Yes. Yes, I suppose if there are, well, if there's anything underhanded going on at such an important function, there would need to be someone to blame.
And if he indeed is coming, there is no reason why you would want to split any spoils that you obtain with him, right?
No, I can't see a good reason to right now.
Well, it would be to my benefit if Melicentia at least came close to the fox, and it would be in your benefit if the fox came nowhere near close to the Queen's jewels. So perhaps we can find some way to work together to ensure that this happens.
Perhaps. I will admit I still have some information I need to gather about the event itself, although I have managed to procure an invitation.
And I'm unsurprised.
Listen. You leave this business with the fox to me. I'll see what I can set up there. But if you could find anything out about, who else, what other sort of forces or people of note will be in attendance, people that the Golden Spider, whoever he might be, might want to avoid.
I will do what I can, though I would have more leverage if I had some information about the fox and or the fox's plans.
You get started. I'll see what I can track down for you.
Time is short. I will return in a few hours.
Yes, of course. And thank you. Thank you so much for your assistance and the tip-off about the rumors.
That's what friends are for. Okay. So he'll gather his coat and head on out.
Of course, that has been done via sign. So even if your father had hung around to listen in, he couldn't have overheard any of that. Does that seem fair, Luca?
I think Luca was very conscientiously using sign back to Daniel. Probably wasn't nearly as eloquent as I made out the speech to be, but.
Well, let's come. Sylvan, what last thing? What would you be doing before on this day, the day before the ball?
I think Sylvan would probably be. He's of course commissioned some proper attire for himself and the others who will be attending the ball as guards, because their normal regimental uniforms would not be sufficient for this sort of event. So they're having to tailor up some special garments to aggrandize both the regiment itself and to make it so they don't stick out like sore thumbs while they're there. And so after he's done that, I think he is spending some time at the King's Cup Tavern with Emily.
And certainly she's asking what you're up to.
He said, just preparing for this event. Apparently the local constabulary that were supposed to serve as guards and the Cardinal's Guard managed to get into some sort of drunken brawl amongst themselves, and the regiment is having to fill in. It's an awkward situation, to say the least.
So you'll be working tomorrow night?
Unfortunately, yes. But I don't suspect it to be much work. Just keeping most of the nobility from hopefully from getting themselves into drunken brawls or stumbling out into an alleyway without when they're supposed to be getting into their coaches, that sort of thing.
Oh, that is too bad.
Not exactly the best way to spend a holiday, but with this last minute sort of assignment, we needed someone who could be there, and if I'm volunteering other people's names, I felt it only right that my name should be on that list as well.
Well, certainly I should have asked you about it before this came up, but it was bad planning on my part. My sister is coming to manage the tavern tomorrow, and I had hoped to go to the lighting of the candles in the grotto. I hoped that perhaps you might escort me, but if you cannot, that is, I understand.
And if there was a socially appropriate time or way for him to basically club himself in the head, he would. He's certainly like you see, like, as she like turns away.
We call that inner conflict. Would you please roll it?
Yes.
Mark an XP.
Right, let's see what we've got here. I'm thinking with inner conflict. I really think that this is him. This is him basically. I think he's going to have to roll with fire. Like, this is him trying to manage his passion.
Let's have you roll.
So that is a +0. So let's see how that goes. That is a 4.
Why don't you mark your fire? You're like, ugh. And I think we do cut to a camera shot from outside, maybe overhearing this, and we see a figure cloaked standing in an alley looking in, and the camera kind of comes around and we can see this burning hatred in the eyes of this person, and they're staring daggers at you, though you do not see them. So 3 XP.
They saw see me. They'll probably see me like clubbing my forehead as he turns away. Just. So I've marked 1 XP. That's what you mark for rolling.
You mark 1 XP for inner conflict, and everybody for end of session mark 3 XP. And that's what we're going to take up next time is a little bit of preparations, and we will move forward onto the ball. I think we have a number of plates spinning that we can play with. Does that seem fair? Given this is session 0 and stuff, we'll do stars and wishes at the end of next session. But I'll check in everybody at the beginning of the session to make sure you're all good with the move choices that you've made, the entanglements, anything like that. We can make changes on those. Sound okay? I'm going to stop recording.